Alright, so in this topic on slope, we're going to talk about an equation that will help us find the slope of 2 points when we don't have a graph. Sometimes a graph can be too big for the points, and we won't be able to draw a line and count up and over, rise over run to find a slope. And so we need a formula that will help us find that.
Oh dear!
This is a boring video.
Uh-oh. We're going to have to work on that.
Okay.
So the first thing is I'm going to have a slide that has the definition for slope, and that is a number which is used to indicate the steepness of a line. It is represented by rise over run, which you guys have been familiar with already.
You know what else I'm familiar with?
What?
Things.
Like when to run?
Sometimes.
Because he said we were familiar with when to run.
Now, the formula that we're going to use for finding the slope of 2 points is going to be in the how-to section. So I'm going to go ahead and show you that now, and then we'll talk through how to actually find it. So how do you find the slope of 2 points that aren't on a graph? The first step is to determine which point is point 1 and point 2. We're going to write x sub 1, x sub 2, y sub 1, and y sub 2 above the correct numbers in each of the ordered pairs. Step 3, we're going to use the formula which is listed below to find slope. And the formula is m equals y sub 2 minus y sub 1 over x sub 2 minus x sub 1. And after we find the slope, step 4, we're going to simplify the slope if possible. So this formula, m stands for slope, and you're familiar with that from the equation y equals mx plus b. You know that m is slope, and you know that b is y-intercept. It's very easy to find slope with this formula if it won't fit on a graph. So for instance, if I had these numbers, the first point being 24, 36, and the other point being 2, negative 3, this is going to be very difficult to put on a graph and to count up and over. It would take too much time. So it's very easy to take this information and plug it into this equation. Now, the first step said determine which point is point 1 and point 2. So, very quickly, this is going to be my point 1, this is going to be my point 2. It doesn't matter. I always just do the first ones first.
I thought of a really good point, because he was talking about points.
Yeah?
Because you're a boy deer and you don't have any points on your antler.
I shave my point antlers.
Second step says write x sub 1 and x sub 2 and y sub 1 and y sub 2 over each one of these numbers.
Do you even understand the sub 1, sub 2 stuff?
Yeah, it's like a submarine.
No.
There's
That's
2 submarines.
Not true. So I asked Mr. Z about the sub thing, and
Sure.
he said it is not what you said.
It is. It's a...
No.
Okay.
No, it's not.
So if you're so smart, then what is it?
It's actually the numbers that are next to the variable, like the little ones, like sub numbers.
Well, we know that the first number is x. So this is going to be my x, and this is also my x. This is x of the first, so this is going to be my x sub 1. This is the x of my second point, so this is x sub 2. Here is my y sub 1, because it's in the first point. This is my y sub 2. From here, all I have to do is plug this into the equation, and that's my slope. So, y sub 2 is negative 3. So m equals negative 3 minus y sub 1. Well, that's 36 over x sub 2, 2, minus x sub 1, 24. Negative 3 minus 36 is negative 39. 2 minus 24 is negative 22. And the last step, all I have to do is simplify it. Well, 39 and 22 can't really simplify, but the negatives can cancel out.
The negative and a negative kind of made me sad.
It's okay. There's going to be a positive.
Oh.
A negative divided by a negative is a positive. So my slope is 39 over 22. That's it. So this is how you find the slope of a line when I'm given 2 points. Okay, so I want to go through another example here with some numbers that have some negatives in them, because sometimes they do cause some issues for people understanding how it works. I just want to make sure we're clear on that. So the question would look like, find the slope of a line that passes through these 2 points. Now, again, I could go find some graph paper, I could draw these points, I could count up and over, and I could find the slope.
Did you hear what he said about graph paper?
He's gonna kill trees.
Oh my gosh, that's where we live! No, he said if he had graph paper, but he's not going to use it.
Because he doesn't have paper.
Right, so we're safe. Woo! For now.
But this equation makes it a lot easier to just do, and again, especially if your numbers are large. So I'm going to assign these their x sub 1s, x sub 2, y sub 1, and y sub 2. That way I don't get confused about which one's which. Y sub 2 minus y sub 1. 3 minus negative 2. Over x sub 2 minus x sub 1. 4 minus negative 3. Now you know negatives next to negatives just become pluses.
I really like math now because like the negative and the negative becomes a positive.
And it's such a happy place.
It is happy.
So this is going to be 5 over 7. And that's my slope. As you can see, knowing your integers facts is going to be very important for finding slope, and that's why we've been covering it so much.
What's an integer?
It's like one of those four-legged creatures that's the little hairy ones they work around.
Well, those are important.
Hey, what's an integer?
I think it's those guys that come out in the woods with those big guns and they look dressed up like trees. No, really. Do you know what an integer is?
It's pronounced integer.
Oh, that's not what he said. I know what an integer is.
Oh.
Now I'm going to go over to the graph and kind of show you how this actually works so that you can find how we came up with this equation. Okay, so let me just show you how we actually came up with this formula. We're going to start with these points of 1, 3 and 5, 4. So if I had a line that passed through this, what would its slope be? Well, let's talk about that real quick. Here's my axis. And 1, 3 is going to be here. 5, 4 is going to be there. Now, as you can see, this is going to have a slope of 1, because it rised 1.
Did he just say rised?
I think you did.
I mean, I don't know English that well, but that's not a word.
It's not.
And over 1, 2, 3, 4. We know that this line is going to have a slope of 1 over 4. But how did we come up with that number? Well, we have a 1 up top. So we're trying to find the change in height from these 2 points. And the way you find a change of something is by subtracting. So what numbers would subtract to make 1? Because we're going from one point to another, we have to use one number from each section. And so we're going to use the 4 and the 3. So 4 minus 3 is what makes 1. Because we took these two numbers, we can kind of assume that we're going to take these numbers. And as you can imagine, 5 minus 1 makes 4. And so you can see how we kind of came up with this. Instead of using numbers in all these spots, we just put in variables. And because we have the same variable, this is a y minus y, x minus x. You can see this would get confusing. Y minus y. Well, which y is y?
I feel like he just used jazz hands.
I don't think he's making sense.
I don't know.
Should we call the police?
Y minus y. Well, which y is y?
So why, the why?
What is he doing?
Why?
I don't know.
Y minus y. Well, which y is y? And that's why we put the y sub 2 minus y sub 1, the x sub 2 minus x sub 1. We usually take the second point first, which is why you have that 2. As you can see, this is how we came up with it. As you can imagine, it's not extremely important for you to know how to use this every day, but it's a good idea to know how you came up with something that you're going to be using often, especially in pre-algebra.
So when was the last time you used pre-algebra?
All the time when I was running away from the hunters.
Totally. Like up a big hill?
I used slope.
Yeah. So do you think we helped his boring video?
It's a lot more interesting.
Totally. Hi, Hoof. So,
I'm testing my voice.
I mean, I'm trying to get it.
I know, but I'm testing my voice.
So do you know what I heard?
What?
I heard that the deer were helping, like, with math videos.
That's crazy talk.
No, it's not. It's true, and I want to do it.
What?
I really do. We never got.
The deer are a lot better than we are.
Oh,
but-
dear.
Oh, dear.
I I mean, we could totally help Goldilocks with her math homework.
True. But
The deer always get to do everything. Deer, deer, deer.
I think this one would work.
I didn't do it. You did it. I'm the fat kitty.
I like the. I hate that. I love the kitty.
Relax the eyebrows.
I can't.
Merry Christmas to you. Merry Christmas to you. Merry Christmas to you. Have a candy cane too.
That I could come join your math class, but it's very hard to learn.
Do you know what he means by like sub 1 and sub 2?
Yeah, it's like a substitute.
Oh, I was thinking like a submarine. Uh-oh, someone forgot to... forgot what I was gonna say.
Blah.
Oh no, I remembered.
Okay,
We'll
let's do
do
it
again.
now.
I thought of a really good point.
Yeah?
I mean, he was talking about points,
Right?
and yet you don't have any on your antlers.
I shave them for purpose.